6 different kids' lives.
Yes, the judge knows that he messed up kids' lives. I hit it sort of in the middle of nothing because I wanted to make sure that it made sense. Okay, when you go to a court and you tell the judge himself that she's dating a dude who sells drugs and listens to music about sex with your grandma and doing drugs and party and then making out with like people talking about their wet drip coochie. That's what they're saying. Not the kind of stuff that I would do with my kids as Dan, but like the stuff that when I said I try to keep my kids outside in the nature and get them active and eating healthy and stuff like that, and that's exactly what I said to the judge. Exactly. With Brittany sitting on one side, way over on the left, and her lawyer sitting there. And like the judge started attacking me for saying the right thing. Now my own brother tells me that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all this kind of stuff, the Bill of written down, it was written, the power of the word. No one gets any of this shit, dude. I wrote the Declaration of Independence as a fucking bunch of assholes. I'm serious. I don't give a shit if people don't like the fact that our flag is a satanic symbol. If I could speak to a politician that can prove to me they care, they'd be like, oh my God, I didn't know I was part of a cult because I just thought I was trying to work my way up through school and get a good job. But you know what they did that messed up 6 kids' lives? With Jen, all they're doing is following a policy. They're not listening with their heart. They're not saying, wow, I can tell you really do love your kids. I can tell that this would be one of the greatest minds that would come out of life if someone like you could teach children. Because you could teach children what imagination really is. Because you are actually coming from your heart, and we can feel it. Instead, we're going to worry about our pockets. And we're going to go tell you that because you make this much, you got to work this many hours. Well, they don't tell you how many hours, but you have to work a lot to make the money that they try to take from you and say, yeah, you can make this much and you have to like pay this much. And I'm like, I can't see the kids because you're going to make me work all that much time. And when I would be available to see them, I'm not going to be around working. And then when I can see them, you make it so like, and then because you never tried to see him more often. I was working every day of the week except for the day I got to see him, and then after a while, even on the day I saw him. But I made sure that I could get done or only do it after or shit like that or start late at night. And the judges don't give a shit. And they think that I'm making it up. They think that I worked 3 jobs at a time or 20 hours a day for over a decade because I loved it. No, I was too busy working to see my kids. No, because I would talk the truth and say, I don't want to, because my exes had my kids. No matter how much I told the truth and said, I don't want to spend my time working. I want to spend my time with my kids. But I can't spend my time with my kids because they're with their moms. And their moms took me for money. And in order to get the money, I always have to work. And now it makes me look like a non-caring dad when I'm the only fucking one who cares about them with their heart. Everyone cares about them with policy. Even parents. You know what a parent means? It means par. To be up to par and to make your entity, your expressed nature plus, your child, you're a parent. You're supposed to par your expression nature plus your children. You're supposed to pair them up with par. Does that not make sense?
Do you know what?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Parent? It's like to pair you up with what they say you should be. Bullshit.
You know what child support is? It's a bullshit excuse for one parent to get money for a grudge that they're going to hold for the rest of their lives.
And for the government, who is evil, if you listen to this really closely, they know that a man will stick up for the truth more than a woman. They know that there are a lot of men that because of women will protect scared women. They put enough shows on TV at a young age when women were at home, because I did this, I know this. When women were at home watching TV during soap operas and all this stuff just kept reminding about wars and wars and wars. Now this is only happening during Dan's life this time, but this happened forever. They always advertise sympathy if they want it. How do you get a hold of somebody? You make them weak. You make them feel like if they don't do this, they're not qualified. And if they don't show this feeling, they must not care. And if they don't do this, they're going to get in a lot of trouble. So all you do is make them feel weak and they're less than. Not really, but you made them automatically do it because you made them qualify. And somehow they fell in the belief because they got taught as a child. So what we did is we always gave this feminine feeling of fear into everyone. And there's males who fear too, and it's a feminine thing because it stays in you. But you can use your masculine divineness and actually force it out. You don't have to leave Maya being like Mother Earth is Maya right now, and no matter what we do, we're Maya's in fear. Gaia's in fear. It's like it's like Ma and Guy. Guy is just the acting, living, green world. Maya is Mother identified as. It's in nature. That's the nature. Why is Miami such a beautiful place full of trees and water? Because it's Maya, M-I, which is manifest identified. Think about that. Doesn't make sense to people? Come on. So now we go back to saying that the judge looks at me and tells me that because she's dating a drug dealer, it's just a contrast in parenting, and I should lower my voice. And it all turned into me, making me seem like I was stupid because I was standing up for what's true and loving my kids. And if people would hear this and really listen with their heart, not like looking off to the side or chewing on their toenails or something. I don't know what the hell they do when they listen to stuff. But like, if they could really listen, they'd be like, dude, I can tell this kid, kinetic identity. I'd rather say that than Guy or Dan or God, because I don't want to say all those things and disgrace my personal name or disgrace God's name and lessen it, because we all are that. So this kinetic identity, that's why you say it, because kids have a lot of energy. We always say child too, because it's chi, living, defined. And then it's kid, because it's kinetic identity. Both of them, same thing, right? Wild child, you know? So this judge tells me that I need to calm down when I'm like, I haven't seen my kid, and this was with Brittany and Jazzy and Leo after 10 years of not seeing my older four. And I'm like, I haven't seen my kids for 10 years because I was wrong the whole fucking time. And no one's going to admit it because they don't want to feel bad. And guess what? Don't feel bad. Just make it up to us the best you can now. When I say us, I don't mean Dan. I don't give a shit if you make it up to Dan. Make it up to the kids by letting them see their dad. That's all I'm asking. Open up your hearts. If I could get people on Facebook to listen to this and share it with the world. I don't care if it's about me personally. I want all the dads who care about their kids that are getting fucked over by our own government, who know if they hold the divine feminine by the skirt and say, you know, men go out there and be the heroes and go fight these wars. They make you feel like you're a patriot. And the woman goes, my strong man risks his life. And they brainwashed him that way. They brainwashed the women to support him. They brainwashed the men to kill. And people don't seem to care. That's the truth. I was there. I've done it all. I created fucking Hitler's plan. Believe me, I've lived Hitler's life. And if you don't like that, believe me, I didn't either, because I had to have a good soul going through a review of a horrible life. And guess what? There wasn't one Hitler. There are infinite freaking Hitlers. And it's not just my mind saying that I just fathomed it. I just thought about it. God showed me. Divine energy let me feel the one. And guess what? It didn't just let me feel the one. I'm it. Tag. I slap myself and say tag because it's true. And it's not like a big deal. People say, you're talking big about yourself. I'm like, no, I'm talking big about you through me. Because that's all I can do. I'm just a name in a mass of flesh and earth. And so are you. And you're the same living energy. But you're so stuck in the character you want to play. It's fine if you want to do that. Play your character. But don't go doing anything that's going to kill shit. And you don't have the right to kill shit. And I don't care what people say that. And if you or even my own brother think that other people have the right to tell me that they're allowed to go kill shit and fight wars because that's what we've always done, because we weren't awake yet, and the fucking awakened master is alive right now. And people don't like to hear that stuff because they always thought it was a fantasy or a woo-woo. Believe me, I did too. I did too. Even in Dan. God never thought he would find Dan. Dan never thought there was a God. You know what I mean? People think that this is somebody who wanted this. I was so anti-religious. I was like sort of atheist. I didn't give a shit. I was dating Brittany, and that whole time I didn't give a shit. I didn't think anything about God. I never said anything to God. God came to me and actually let me go through that part of my life. I always went through periods of my life where I would say in my head, fuck God, fuck God, fuck God. And then I'd say, why am I doing that? Don't say that. Because you know what happened when you had that bad trip. And I was like, but he keeps screwing me over. And it's like these thoughts we all have in our head. But we just take the word God out and think it's ourself. And who is ourself? But the self. You just don't call it God. You call it your name. Because your name, my name is God. God is the word. That's true. All words are God. All things are God. Not even without words. Because if we say nothing, that's God too. And nothing is hidden space, invisible space, right out in front of you space. It's all those things. Let me go back to the thing and finish off, because it's really messed up that we live in a world that fathers can lose their children and even mothers can lose their children. The same thing can happen for men. I just happen to live in a state where it's, female majority gets the kids, and they sort of hold it so that the man feels bad that he's got to go work and support his family. And believe me, I did everything I could. I've never really harmed things except when I worked all the time and couldn't afford, because I was paying bills for one family and trying to pay more than I can afford and not having enough, and ended up in arrears because I got injured and I couldn't work and I was supposed to get a surgery, and I healed myself with my mind during all that stress. before I even had my experience, because I just believed I could. And then I got into Reiki. And then I just, boom, everything just happened on its own. On the magical number. 453. 4 plus 5 is 9. It happened at 4:53 in the morning on 9/27, which is 9 and then 9. And then 4 plus 5 is 9. Plus 3, because it was 4:53 a.m., when I looked at the clock, and that's the infinite life came to me at 4:53 in the morning on 9/27. Now that's not fucking just a coincidence. 9/27, 9, 9. And it happened to me at 4:53 in the morning. And that's 9 plus 3, which is 12. And if you add that back together, it's 3, 1 and 2. And whoopee ding dong, it doesn't mean anything. It's really cool if people who really know the magic of numbers and divine stuff really listen to this and took it seriously instead of wanting to believe all the stuff they see on Gaia.com or, YouTube Plus or Voodoo or Hulu and Boo Boo and Choo Choo. It doesn't fucking matter, man. These people are just using their creativity to create, and great. But when it's mattering, it's involving shit that's killing, and it's involving stuff that's lusty and negative. It's a sin just as much as science is. I mean, if people don't like that, that's their fault, because they're stuck in the ego they had. I'm into science. Science is not a sin. Yeah, it is. Do you think God itself is science? If you think God is science, that's calling God less than it is. So if you say science is God, it's not, because all the answers that science has had are wrong. I can show you how. And yes, they work in certain patterns right now, but there's a deeper side of our spirituality that needs no science and needs no body, and it goes way deeper than this.
Do you notice what number isn't in the date and time that you had your thing?
6, because I'm not a human. And 6
I just noticed that. That's the only number that's
I was hoping you'd say that.
And every other number is only in there once, I think.
4 plus 3. 4 plus 5, and there's a 1 between the two. 4 plus 5 is 9. 1 and 2 from 12. Back to 3. There's already the 4, the 5, and the 3. And then there's 5 and 3 that make 8.
927.
Yeah, and then there's 5 and 3 that make 8. So all the numbers are there, except for 6.
Well, 8's there because it was 2018.
Yeah, and you could break it down and say after they all add together they make 12, so there's a 2 there, and you could have added that to the 4 at the beginning. It already added up. That was the base, and you broke it down after that. That's not even considering. So you could get to 2, because I am a math genius. I could figure out a pattern to do anything. But there's no point of being a math genius and figuring out a pattern to everything if people want to take advantage of you and capitalize on people and make all kinds of money off of Brett Cardone, or I don't even know hell his name is. I saw it just pop up the other day, and he's like, I'm going to sit you down here next to me in this seat of my private jet, and you're going to sit here, and I'm going to sit there, and we're going to play a game of backgammon, or a chess, or schnapps, or bridge, or something. I'm like, this is fucking stupid, man. Do you think that's helping the world? Do you think the starving children care about your fucking private jet and your backgammon? What a moron. And I'm not trying to put you down, but you need to wake up. Good morning, moron. Please help people the right way. Sell your private jets. Donate it to people who need it. And if people think, I don't want it, you know what? Don't even worry about money. Get rid of money. Let's burn all the money in the world.
Scrap it for books.
Yeah, maybe use money and we'll recycle money for different things. Recycle it, mulch it back into the ground, bless it, say, hey, we used you for what we needed you to for a long, long time. Now let's go back to what's really true and start all over again. Because if not, guess what's going to happen when I die if this doesn't happen? And I'm not going to let my kids have it. It's going to happen after they all die or when they want to go. But the fury of God, when recognized, what do you think happened? Why do you think, like, the floods and all that kind of stuff, that really did happen? Because when things happen and beings are realized, or things need to change on a massive scale, nature does it. It's happening right now. People that won't wake up are going to either die, or they're going to be put into a place where they've got to separate themselves from the beings who are waking up. My brother Brian is an obvious example, because he is refusing to wake up because the answers are right here in front of him, and he believes lies told to him by a governmental mind control. I'll keep saying it until you get it and really understand it. Nothing against people that are in there, because they're just trying to make a job and be a good citizen, and it's just you're working for the wrong side. And cops, you're just hunting people with a badge. True story. And I know it because I've done it, and I've been horrible cops. Cops are not good. Soldiers are not good. They're just people with guns. It's all they are. They make mistakes. They're just as fragile as you and me. but they have this mask put on, and they've been given fake power. If any of that is wrong, you are not awake yet, and I'm sorry. My mom and my dad, it took me a minute to get in on my dad in the earth world this time, Dan's dad. But it's where he's starting to understand that it's true. And it's actually making him upset that his son Brian all of a sudden did even more and starts even either lying or just ragging on the past. He said he's sorry. But I wish that my dad would just say, Brian, whatever I could do to help you get past what happened when I was younger and drunk and not the same man as I am now. You could see that, Brian. Dad's not the same man. You keep thinking you're right because you go to your therapist and they pity you and boo-boo you. And they're taught to do certain things and they get degrees on how to make sure that you stay weak so that you either keep coming back or you cause more disruption in the little earth world that's just a little playground where they're doing experiments on people. And the government doesn't even know that. They're being experimented on. And some of them are in on it, some of them aren't. But if they don't keep secrets, they die. And if they don't want to keep secrets, then guess what? They spend the rest of their life lying to people, and they're not happy about it. They get really old. They look bad. I've died as presidents that have done this. All of them. Every single one of them. There's not one president who was that good. Some of them tried to help, and it just made people a little more happy by letting people... They got the idea off of slavery and said, hey, let's make them think that they were just against black slaves when they're all still slaves. They're all still paying taxes. We just let white people have a license to own black people because... You know, the idea of white over black, just light over darkness. It has nothing to do with skin. It was just consciousness growing up through color.
We'll let them do it so we can bite them in the ass later.
I mean, does this make sense? We call them colored people, and we didn't know that we were light beings. We were beings of color. We were human. So we were human, and we were masters of what we called color people. We were humanagers and colored people. No offense against anyone that's African American at this point in time in the world, but when I tell you that I'm an enlightened being, I'm not joking. And I have been all the slaves, and I've died. I've been treated like horrible. You have no idea. I wish I could truly tell people all the indigenous tribes that I've lived as, all the stuff I've ever done. All right. And see, this is important stuff, but I can say this on any other day. Xavier's going back to school tomorrow, and I will put my phone down and not finish anything else. This was about making sure that we make a point that our government doesn't have us on their best wishes, and that we're not in their hearts. We're in...
It's always for, like, they want to do it. They're, like we've been saying, these whole 2 days that we've been together, everybody's in it in their own perspective. That judge was thinking, oh...
I'm following policy.
And he was, like I said earlier yesterday, he was catching on to specific things that you were saying. Oh, I like rap music. Oh, that's not... Oh, and it's like, but that has nothing to do with the whole grand scheme of things. You're taking the kids away.
Yeah.
They're in it for their personal thoughts.
And it's not okay. It's not okay to like horrible, vulgar music and have drug dealers around. And why would a judge just be like, there was an obvious unawake person as the judge. Overweight, out of shape. Now think about this. When I tell you about E being 5 and Y being 5 E's, because it's 25, this is the last thing I'm going to say. The police are one little piece of the idea. They are the root chakra. 1, energy. 5, the government tells them what to do. 5, the vocal cord. That's the 5th chakra, and that's policy. Take away that and divide it by 5, it's police. And they are just their little doggies, and they control their minds and tell them what to do. And I'm sorry for every police officer. I love you enough to tell you something that's going to break your heart and make you want to quit the force, because you should. Because you're just a little puppy to the policy. You're a police officer. You're the E of the Y. Why? Because they tell me to. Because they control me. I'm 1/5 of their power. It's the policy and the judge. And here's me over here being the guy who goes out and kills. Or goes out and hunts for people who do little things so we can get more tax money. No, let's not go jaywalking. Parking on the wrong side of the street. When the fucking thing is crowded and somebody lives there, let them park by their house.
Or just for too long.
Yeah, I mean...
You only park here for an hour.
Your quarter ran out. We need that piece of tin to keep the world running. No, we don't, guys. We need to get our heads out of our asses, and that's it. You want to say something else?
Quarter ran out, so you have to pay $1,000 fine.
It's only $15, dude. He hasn't had to park his car and get a speeding ticket or a parking ticket yet. It's only $15.
I'm sure it'll add up if you keep doing it.
Eventually, it'll be like 75 Bitcoin, you know. But anywho, Bitcoin's a joke too. Bitcoin. Anyway, later, y'all. crypto, dead money. Let's just do what's right and stop listening to people controlling us. And even tell them to stop listening to the people controlling them, because they're being controlled too. They are. No matter how high they are up on the ladder, they're being controlled by somebody. And they need to take enough nerve. I won't say balls to offend anybody like that, because men and women alike, you have to have enough nerve to stand up for ourselves and do what's right, whether you've done the wrong thing for a long time or not. And if people don't want to be like, see, I've done horrible things and I've done so much violence, I'm afraid to admit it because I'm embarrassed. Can I live over here and not be harmed? And I will not harm anybody else, because I will study the ways of the rightness. And when I do get it, I'll come back and I'll talk about it, and I'll teach children, and I'll help the world get cleaned up. I'll help the environment. You know how I know all this stuff? Because I've done it in the future as all of us. But everyone else is playing their time this time, because I don't want to dive into your this time thing. It's your willpower. Free will. Does that all make sense to you?
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Makes complete sense.
All right, guys. I love you. Peace.
Peace. Peace.